Former undisputed champion, two-time undisputed champion, Canelo Alvarez has been offered another title shot. And of course, we knew this was going to happen. Canelo Alvarez is still the face of boxing financially. And some people think Terence Crawford is the face of boxing. I do, as far as greatness go. But if we're talking about putting butts in seats, Canelo is still that dude. But let's listen to one of the biggest Canelo fans I know besides Liza. I don't own the rights to this content. It's for educational purposes only.
I was hurt. I ain't gonna lie. Because I've been a fan of Canelo since I was a kid. So my heart, a tear almost came on my eye. I ain't gonna lie. Because it felt like, that Canelo's done. But I just think he was a little off that night. I think he can, make a big comeback. But to Crawford, man, he's the greatest of this era. You got to give it to him. Greatest of this era. Nobody's ever done that before. 3-time undisputed. So you got to take your hats off to Crawford. And I was just shocked that he was able to just dismantle Canelo like that, even with the size difference. That just goes to show size doesn't win fights.
You just said, something that surprised me a little bit. You said Canelo's done. You think he's done? After this?
No.
By his performance, or what did you mean by that?
By that, I just during the fight, when I was watching the fight, like I said, I felt like shedding a tear because it felt like, the king is done. He's done for. But after rewatching the fight, I feel like Canelo still has a little left in him. I feel like he can get a couple good fights in there. I would like to see the Benavidez fight. That's probably the only fight I really want to see him do before he, retire.
The first time in a long time, Canelo Alvarez is not a champion. Terence Crawford took that away from him in September 13th. And everybody's wondering, what is Terence Crawford going to do next? Is he going to fight Benavidez? I heard some fans saying, if you want to prove how great he is, beat Benavidez because Canelo was past his prime. These excuses coming over and over again when Terence Crawford gets these big victories, right? The first excuse came, he has no names on his resume. He's fighting a bunch of nobodies. He beats Errol Spence. Errol Spence was weight drained. He was high. Mike Tyson gave him edibles. A whole bunch of excuses came out. He beats Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's past his prime. He need to beat a prime Canelo. The excuses are coming. And then they said next he has to fight David Benavidez to prove that he's a great fighter, that he's the best in his era. You know what I'm saying? But what about Canelo? What is next for Canelo Alvarez, right? That is a bigger question to me. I'm not worried about what Bud's going to do because Bud is going to do something to improve his legacy, like it needs more improving. He's already a three-division undisputed champion, 5-division champion, but it looks like Terence Crawford is trying to go for 6. But the big question to me is, what is Canelo going to do? Because Canelo has been offered a title shot according to Yahoo Sports. David Benavidez has said he'll fight Canelo at 175, and David Benavidez is currently the WBC light heavyweight champion. He defends it against Anthony Yarde. If he happens to get past Anthony Yarde, that would open up Cinco de Mayo, Canelo Alvarez against David Benavidez for the WBC light heavyweight championship. Now, people will say, well, he's too big for Canelo, but Canelo has made 2 trips to 175, one to Dmitry Bivol and one to Sergio Kovalev, and he's 1-1. And so far, it doesn't seem like Canelo wants a rematch with Terence Crawford, or neither does his fans, except Robert Garcia wants him to fight Terence Crawford once again. This will be a more winnable fight for Canelo Alvarez to me, because David does throw a lot of punches. That's the only problem he's going to have. David throws a lot of punches, and he doesn't have the same stamina as he did at 168, but his stamina is still better than Canelo's. Benavidez is not the same fighter at 175 than he was at 168. Not saying Canelo will win the fight, but I think it would be you have a better chance beating Benavidez than you have Terence Crawford, because Benavidez is not a hard puncher. It's just the volume, and his footwork is not as good as Terence Crawford. Actually, Benavidez's footwork is bad. There are 2 things I will worry about in this fight: is David Benavidez's size and Canelo's gas tank. But when you throw a lot of punches like David Benavidez does, that means there will be a lot of counter opportunities for Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo is a great counterpuncher. He's also still a great fighter. He's just not as great as Bud is. So to me, as a boxer fan, a hardcore boxer fan, I would love to see Canelo Alvarez go up to 175, fight David Benavidez, and it's going to be 1 or 2 things: redemption or passing the torch? But anyway, leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think should be next for Canelo? A rematch with Terence Crawford, or go up to 175 once he did twice for title shots? He's 1-1. Go up there, fight the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. Beezy, I'm gone.